What's up, motherfuckers? Happy Monday. I am Gil, host of the HVAC Uncensored Podcast. Got a little brief show for you tonight, man. I didn't get into a podcast last week because some people don't hold their word and fucking show up, but that's a whole nother thing. I have a great show for you guys tonight, but before we get started, we always got to pay those bills, man. I want to thank first and foremost, Yellow Jacket. Guys, Yellow Jacket has been an amazing sponsor of the podcast, man. Yellow Jacket has been kicking ass and taking names for the last 70 years, making quality products that we all love. I don't care what gauges you buy. If you don't have Yellow Jacket hoses hooked up to it, you're a fucking moron. They are the best hoses in the business, some of the best vacuum pumps, and keep listening because I'm going to be giving this thing away, this Y-Jack wireless vacuum pump in the next couple of weeks. So be listening to the podcast and I will let you guys know how to win that. So guys, remember 70 years of expertise built into every tool. Next and foremost is going to be my friends over at the Service Hero Academy. Guys, the Service Hero app is amazing. It really is. It puts an expert in your pocket. Is it going to make you some great tech? No, but it's going to help you boost your game. I promise you. It's going to answer all those little questions for you that you may not have. How to install certain parts, how to present it to the customer. If a customer keeps giving you a certain objection, how to respond to that objection and be comfortable with it. I promise you. So check out the Service Hero app. I have a link, but guys, if I'll find the link and send it, if you use that link, it's great. The podcast makes a couple of bucks. If you don't, I'm not really worried about it. As long as you guys get what you need, that's all I'm really worried about. So just look up the Service Hero Academy and just tell them that Gil sent you. Final is going to be True Tech Tools. Guys, you guys out there buying new tools and you can't get it. I do believe in support local. Buy from your local supply houses. But if you can't find it, none other than True Tech Tools, Mr. Bill Spone and Eric over there. Amazing people. They have one of the biggest selections online. Use the discount code Uncensored and save 8% on your order. All right, enough of that shit. Let's get in this pledge and then let's rock and roll with this show, man. Let's rock and roll. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. God bless the United States. And thank you to all those men and women who defend it.
Five, four, three, two, one, go. Welcome to the #1 rated HVAC podcast. If you're looking to grow in the HVAC industry, then you're in the right spot. Blue-collar people talking about blue-collar shit. Let's get better together. So turn up the volume, buckle your seatbelt, and let's welcome your host, Gil KV Jr.
What is up, everybody? Like I said, I'm the host, Gil KV Jr. I'm going to get to this quick, man. I got two awesome guests tonight. I'm going to let them introduce themselves. I'm going to go over here and let you guys find out who I am talking to tonight. Let me unmute some microphones. What's up, fellas?
What's going on, Gil?
Thanks for coming, guys. I know this was kind of a last minute affair. So we were just getting some drinks together and having a good time talking. So I appreciate you guys, man. Yeah. Cheers.
It's a pleasure to be on, Gil. Really. Thank you very much.
Thank you, man. I guess we'll start since you're, he's a guest too, but you're the guest. Chris, go ahead and tell everybody like who you are, what you do, all that kind of stuff, man.
Sure. Chris Tulloch. I am the New Jersey Division Sales Manager for the branches of ARS in the Good Garden state of New Jersey. Been with ARS since on and off. I took a little hiatus. I spent 2 years of doing what I now call opposition research, but started back at AJ Perry back in 2014, and we were acquired by ARS just about a year later, 2015. So I've been with them ever since.
Nice. Come on, big boy Everett. Tell everybody who Mr. Everett is.
What do you do? What's up? All right, Gil, Chris. My name's Everett Lippel. I am, Chris and I actually used to work together. Chris and I actually grew up together. I'm the national sales manager for, sales director of sales for, Supply Smart Plumbing and HVAC supplies. And I also consult for the up and coming software, dispatching software, Sera, which you guys have probably heard a ton about, among other things.
Oh, sorry, that was me. I had to unmute it. I was putting the video up so I could see the comments. So that's awesome. So Everett is going to AHR, so he will be in Vegas. Do you ever attend any of those events, Chris?
No, I spend my time kind of boots on the ground, doing what I do over here. I do have a couple people at the branch who will be attending. So I'm really excited that they're going to be out there representing us. But I follow, I'm in the mix. I'm in all the groups online. I take a look at all the videos. Obviously, I listen to HVAC Uncensored. But that's exciting. When I heard it was in Vegas, there's no doubt that I wanted to make time to go over there, but it's just not in the cards.
Yeah, no, I got you. And it's hard for some people. I mean, I'm fortunate and I'm very grateful to be one of the podcasts that gets picked to podcast live there, because there's a lot of great shows out there. There really is. I mean, really, I tell people it's not about one show against another. There's so many that you could literally fill your days, turn off the radio, listen to maybe some good tunes every once in a while, but there's enough information out there to listen to good podcasts all the time. So,
it's true. And I'm not trying to plug you, but we were saying earlier offline, one of the best things about Uncensored is just the positivity, that comes from it. And being, a sales manager, I can tell you it's one of the most important facets, right? Is that we keep our mind correct and that we're prepared to go out there and do what we do, what we've been trained to do, making friends, building relationships, and ultimately, bringing the sales home as well. And you're a great forum for that. And, so thanks for having me on again.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, man. I guess you guys having sales backgrounds, and I would love to get both of your opinions, because one thing that I hear in this trade all the time in these groups is, I'm a technician, I'm not a salesman. And I don't think they understand that you change that contactor and they pay you for it. Well, that was a sale. That was a bill of goods. You sold something. And I know a lot of these guys, it's not that they're idiots and I think they mean well. It's just, I think some of us have that aha moment. And the sooner that clicks, the better off you are in this industry. Because I used to be that guy that I thought I went to that customer's house, I just changed the capacitor, I kept the bill down, I left, that I was making them happy, until I realized that I wasn't. Yeah,
I mean, that's kind of one of the biggest things that you're going to hear, right? Especially from the technician side. And really it's a fear of the money. Right. And the thought process that spending more money is bad. And that if I help this customer spend less money, then it's good. But they're not always, these people are not always considering what's truly best for the homeowner. And, the best thing for the homeowner is not necessarily, that one option that you put in front of them. If that's all you're doing is putting one option in front of them, and it's the fix it, right? The fix it now. I have a 17-year-old system. Let me do that pitted contactor. That might not actually be the best thing for the homeowner. And so you're leaving that house with your, $200, $300, whatever you may charge for the service, having actually wronged the homeowner. And I think that happens, really too often, as a matter of fact. But it's not to say that there aren't plenty of times where, a capacitor is the answer and is the option that should, but that doesn't mean that the homeowner shouldn't still be offered the opportunity to purchase more, purchase IAQ, to purchase whatever it is that happens to be important to them, because they get to determine what is truly important to them. And we should just be facilitating whatever that may be.
Exactly. Before you go, Everett, Kirsch just had a perfect answer he put in here. He said, you're saying no for the client. You're making their decision for them, that's 100% true.
Which is unfair. I mean, that is incredibly unfair to the homeowner at large. The educated homeowner making the decision based on, a number of things. But there are times where, a fix isn't the right thing, but it's the only thing that makes sense for the homeowner at that time. And then that's what we have to be there to do, is to repair that unit, to get it up and running and create that comfort.
So you say, I'm really passionate about this topic because and I talked about this guy the other day, right? There's service technicians that are like selling technicians, right? Who are have amazing reviews. Customers freaking love them, right? They go in, they give the options, they're thorough, they spend time, and then they walk out with a massive repair or replacement, and the people are happy to sign up and, give you their money. And then you have all these guys who are like fix it guys. And if we're going to really help the industry, right, and shape the industry, which is like leaders like us have to do, it's a mindset. It's a different mindset, because you can be a good communicator. You can sell something, right? And also you can be doing what's in the best interest of that homeowner all at the same time. And Chris nailed it on the head. We nailed it. Gil, you said this live. Now we spend a lot of time on this, a lot of time in our podcast, a lot of time in the field. We talk about this all the time, but I don't think techs are sitting there going, oh man, here's another sales guy. Like, no, dude, I spent the time, in the classroom learning the technical side of things. Just because I can communicate effectively does not necessarily put me in a bucket where I can't have great customer service, have great customers coming back to me and giving me referrals because I gave them options. The one thing you can leave the house with, or you can leave the house, or you can leave the building, and no matter whether they buy or they don't buy, whether you sold them something or not, if you leave them with an education, if you leave them better off, if they understand something now that they didn't when you started, you did a job. I promise you'll reap the benefits if you just do a little bit more work in the house.
I want to build on that, Everett, because you said two things that should be, highlighted there. First of all, your emphasis on communication. Okay. And it's not just being a good communicator, meaning I can talk, I can tell stories, but it's mastering the art of communicating effectively. Right. And that's what delivering options is. It is mastering communication, sharing with the homeowner, right, pros and cons of all of the different options. If you can do that much, you're not a salesperson. And you don't have to be a quote unquote salesperson to be a master communicator, right? All of our technicians, okay, all of our drain techs, our plumbers, right, our electrical technicians that are going out into homes, they should be attempting to further their skill set in communication, because that is just going to help that customer experience out all that much more.
Yeah, well, I always tell this story. I remember being out in the field and I did that, just the capacitor and stuff. And then obviously the owner of the company was like, Gil, I need you to do this and do that. And I want you to go do this and take your time. I want you to be there I just want you to be thorough. I'm like, okay. And I said, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to spend 2 hours here. If I have to take every screw off, take this thing completely apart, I'm going to make sure that I'm here 2 hours. I don't give a shit what's wrong. I did that. I went through everything. I got the customer involved. Like, hey, do you know how this furnace is supposed to work? Like, do you honestly know how this works? No, I really don't. Would you like to know? Actually, yeah, I'd love to know how it works. And obviously, I don't go into the technical side, but I explain to them how it all operates, how it's supposed to operate, how theirs is operating versus one is supposed to. I explained everything. I left there with like a $3,200 ticket. That lady loved me. She gave me a 5-star review. She gave me like a fucking $60 tip. I was sitting in my truck and I was like, what the fuck just happened? I was like,
dinner money.
Yeah, I was like, what just happened? I'm like, my boss is like, that a boy, Gil, way to go, buddy. I'm like, and that's what I mean, how you have that aha moment. And all I did was offer her different things and she chose whether she was going to do it or not. I didn't force anything on her. She was like, I like that. I like this. I like that. And she decided to do it. So.
Yeah. And I think
she liked you. She liked you, Gil. See, that's just it. She liked you.
It's true. It's true. Gil, she would have spent $500 if that's what you offered.
It's true.
And she may have spent $5,500 if that's what you offered too. Right. Because once you do master that skill of communication, it becomes less about the individual options and the granular thinking about what should I do, right? They're going to choose, hey, I just want to get out of Dodge, right? I want that cheap option. Whatever it costs, they're going to go ahead and do it. If they choose the replacement option, whatever that cost happens to be, they're going to do it. But once they've chosen you, okay, they're going to go ahead and choose that option that speaks to them.
Yo, Gil, you mind if I pop? I'm going to ask. So, Chris, you manage a really large team, right? So I want to know, like, I think that everybody on the show, like, that's listening would want to know, like, how would you compare the difference between, let's say, what some of these guys are doing? They're hustling out here. They're trying to make, they got a couple trucks, few trucks, 5 trucks versus like the amount of like, that you're doing with your department. I'd really like to know like how you look at the parallel or how you look at what do you see what I'm trying to ask you? Like the difference sort of between it.
It's, a goal that I've had since I took, over as the sales manager at AJ Perry has been to hit 50 million. All right. And we did it this year. Okay. And the reason why I say that is not to pat myself on the back at all. But it was a feather in the cap that I was kind of looking for. Okay. But I didn't get there by just saying, I want to hit 50 million. And it didn't happen the moment that I started either, right? It happened in increments, okay, by, me getting together with my mentor, with, my general manager. His name is Christian, amazing man, okay, and kind of bringing in the reins on what was a very large and a very successful company when I got there. In 2019, they did 39 million in sales, right? Most of the listeners, most of the companies out there would love to do that, right? I mean, that's a big number. I mean, who's not striving to get there? When I looked at it, right, I said, okay, where are the areas that we can improve, right? And what do we want to improve? Do we want to improve our gross margin lines? Do we want to improve our top line revenue? Well, heck, the truth is we want to improve it all, right? But we took one thing at a time, okay? And the team, was much smaller than it is now back in 2019. But there was this overarching theme that the salesperson, or what we call the comfort advisor, right? They were elite. They sold the big tickets, right? they went ahead and they got the contract signed, and there's a lot of sexiness that goes with that, right? Because it's a big number. I mean, most of your field personnel are not writing $12,000 tickets, let's be honest, right? But with that sexiness, okay, what there lacked was a significant amount of responsibility. And that responsibility fell on everybody else at the branch. Okay. Your install team, of course. I mean, they would see some of the things that were sold and be like, how would they expect me to do that? Right. And then, of course, your warranty technicians that have to come in behind a lot of these things that, maybe didn't go that well. And so one of the things that we targeted first and foremost was, holding each of the positions accountable for what was really their responsibility. And, a large effort that I put into, and you worked there, you were a comfort advisor. So I know you remember, you sold it and then you forgot about it. You didn't think about it again. Everybody else took care of it, right? Well, creating accountability for what you were writing as a comfort advisor, not only did it, streamline our efficiencies on the install side, but it created a bridge that never existed between my install team and the sales team. And that bridge, okay, there's a level of respect there that you just don't see, or I haven't seen elsewhere, I should say.
Yeah, well, and I'll be honest, like I have that now where, trying to improve, and like, obviously we're a smaller company. Company's only been around for a couple of years, but we grew like 260% last year, so we're growing, we're going in the right direction, but it's trying to find those, because I always believe if you ask guys to do too much, they'll do nothing. So you got to kind of pick what you're going to do.
That's the truth.
Yeah, because if you throw a bunch of stuff like, hey, I want you to do this, and this, they're probably not going to do it. But if I tell a guy like, hey, you're awesome at getting reviews, I want you to get reviews, like, hey, you know what I mean?
It's funny, and I don't have it on my phone right now, but there was a quote I read actually by Dr. Martin Luther King, which is fitting for today, being that it is Martin Luther King Jr. Day, right? And it was, if you happen to be a street sweeper, and I'm not going to get it right, but if you happen to be a street sweeper, right, let everyone know how great of a street sweeper you are. Right. Be darn good at it was his point. Right. Let everyone on earth, let everyone in the heavens know how good you are. And, I think that that's a culture driven, top down mentality that really needs to be delivered. And in good organizations, it's there. Right. The level of respect between everybody is there. And people know what their responsibility is. And I would say the number one thing that I can appreciate about my current role is that I know how to win every day. I know exactly what's expected of me every single day. I know when I fail. I know exactly what metrics were not hit in order to be able to achieve my daily goals, right? And I pass that along to everybody who works for me. And I make sure they have clear and concise understanding. Here is your lane. If you do this, you are going to win. And with that comes higher paychecks, right? Which is at the end of the day, why everyone's there. We all want to serve the customer. We all want to create comfort. We all want to do everything it is that we're doing. But if not to help ourselves and our families, achieve that next level, then it's for nothing.
We don't do it for free. Yeah. Go ahead, Everett. What'd you have, buddy?
No, man, it's all good stuff, man. I was thinking about so Chris and I we were in the same role for a long time, and we're running calls. I mean, we're in attics, we're in basements, we're in crawl spaces, we're in utility closets. Like, dude, we're crawling around, getting dirty on our hands and knees. And I don't think anybody realizes, like, hey, there's a lot of West Coast guys out here, really, real loud West Coast guys, and maybe some Florida guys and stuff like that, but Dude, I'm in Dallas now, but there's Northeast guys, man. I mean, dude, you don't even know. You have no idea what kind of house you're walking into. You have no idea what it's going to look like, how many additions they put on their house throughout the years. You got boilers with wet legs off the side of them. You got steamers that got wet legs off the side of them. These guys haven't even seen boilers before. They have no idea what they are. I mean, I'm down here. Like when I came down to Texas, I looked around and I was like, so basically everything is a horizontal or vertical unit with a plenum and a bunch of ductwork, a bunch of flex duct right off the top. Is that, do I have this right? And I'm thinking about my days in Jersey where you got a 115-year-old house. You're like trying to figure out, like, you're literally like trying to peek behind walls just to see where the ductwork goes. Like, I'll never forget. I did this one job in his house. We cleaned the ducts out. Like, the guy was like, I'm not getting any airflow to this section of the house. And it was like an extension of the house. And there was this duct run that ran under into this extension, right? It was like a split level kind of house. And we did the duct, and great. They scoped the camera down there when they did the duct cleaning. There was so much caught inside the ducts. You could not even see through you couldn't, like, they were like, oh my gosh, my airflow. Like, you really don't see that too much in a lot of other markets. That brings you back to, like, understanding, to get better, right? What I would always do is I would call Chris. I'd be driving on my next call and I'd be like, bro, I just ran into this. Have you ever seen that before? Oh yeah, no, hang on. Let me call Russ. Russ might know. Russ is another one of our buddies. He's like a $4 million sales rep, right? And just awesome guy. Phil, another guy we're talking about. Like, you just call these guys and you're like, have you seen this? No, I've never seen that before. And that's I think where like the training happens. Like, the training might be in the classroom, but the training's like going in your truck after a call and going like, I don't even know.
You couldn't be more right. I learned more, okay, talking with my comrades than I did having any trainer come into my organization or any sales manager train me. And I mean, I had some good training that way. You know what I mean? Nexstar, Airtime, you know what I mean? Some really great training, great literature, great videos, some really good training, but none of it compared to, the group of people that we had, that we came up with, okay? We wanted to be good at this, right? And we all had families, right? We needed to be good at it too, but we learned more, and I tell my team that on a regular basis. I tell it in every training class that I run, and I do 3 or 4 a year. You are going to learn more outside this room. There's nothing that I'm going to say that's going to turn you into a magnificent comfort advisor. I'm going to give you, the necessary tools, okay, that you need to walk into a house, okay, and not sound dumb. You're going to learn just enough technical from me where you'll know just a little bit more than the homeowner knows, okay? But it's the effort and the time that you put in outside this room, okay, that is actually going to determine whether or not you can be one of these top tier and elite sales reps that works for my company or any company for that matter. But just to piggyback on that story, Everett, I'll never forget the first call that I ran at AJ Perry. I started AJ Perry in a training class right after Thanksgiving. And, I'm a healthy guy. I got a family. We're all healthy. I leave a job and I roll the dice and say, I'm not going to get any insurance, right? I got 90 days before. Nothing's going to happen between now and the 90 days in insurance. And I get a phone call from a doctor who tells me that I need a very serious heart procedure done. So serious to the point that there's no hospital in New Jersey that they would even feel comfortable having their hands work on this, okay? I get flown out to the Cleveland Clinic, okay? And I'm in my training class. I mean, I'm watching videos the night before this procedure is done. I'm watching a guy, Casey Caldwell, run through our pitch. My wife is like, aren't you nervous? I'm like, no, I mean, I got a job that I'm trying to prepare for, So I come back 3 or 4 days later and acting like, oh, this was no big deal because, hey, it's a new job. Right? I have to prove myself. And they give me a call like 4 days after this procedure. So I'm like, okay, let's do it. So I get to this house. I'm like, I do my agenda, I kind of gain control. I tell them, hey, this is what we're going to be doing here today. I do my preparation, I sit down with the homeowner, I'm doing this by the book, right? I'm investigating, right? So what temperature do you keep your thermostat set to in the summertime, right? I'm doing it all, okay? Because I don't know any other way. And when it comes down to taking a look at the equipment, the guy brings me into the garage and he shows me, this little pop-out square crawl space opening on the side wall. And I'm like, it's in there? And so we open it up and I got a dirt floor. And this house is probably a 40-foot footprint. I literally had to army crawl 40 feet still on medication from this procedure that I'm doing, right? I get there. I'm so tired. I looked at the furnace and said, this job is not for me. I can't do this. I used to wear a suit and a tie every single day. I was respected at one time. And here I am, filthy, right? Looking at a furnace. And I'm like, let me take a couple of pictures of this darn thing. Maybe I can shoot some text messages out and kind of figure it out. And I end up going to, exit the crawl space. The guy looks at me and he must have saw that I was just completely defeated. Okay. And it's like, all right, let's clean you up, and he kind of helps me out, gets me something to drink, I do my load calculation. I sit down and I go through my pitch book page by page by page. I gotta be clear here. I don't want to interrupt you. So Gil, so the organization that Chris and I worked for has a very stringent process on how they run estimate calls for replacements. And it goes all the way from literally from every dot has to be, every I has to be dotted. And so load calcs, you got to take pictures, the whole deal. So anyway, I'm just saying that because everybody's got a different process. And if you're going to learn anything and get better, one of the things you got to get better at is once you moved from repair into replacement, you really have to start looking at what is your sales process? And that's what Chris I think that what happens is a lot of guys in our industry. Where I'm going with this story is because I'm a sweaty mess, right? And I'm literally asking to leave. Like I very well might quit. Okay. I decided while I was in this crawl space that HVAC sales is not my dig. I'm not doing it. But I'm in the home. I'm not going to embarrass myself or the company, of course. I'll finish the call. And I go through this book and I get to the end and I ask him the question, so aside from price, is there any reason why you wouldn't hire us to complete this project for you? And he looks at me and he goes, Chris, you can turn that sales stuff off. You've already sold me. And I didn't know what to do. Like I literally didn't know what to do because they had prepared me for people to give me negative, objections, if you will, but they hadn't prepared me for someone to lay down. But I had performed because it's the only way I knew was the classroom style. I had performed it so effectively with this particular customer that he was buying, and he did. And I was scared of the price. I added extra money to things because I just didn't want to price it wrong, and at the end, they just said yes. And I was stunned. I was even more stunned when I got back to the office. I completed my commission sheet and they're like, wait a minute, this is a negative discount. I'm like, yeah, I'm sorry. I don't know what I did. I just got them to say yes. They were like, well, okay, great. And it was like at the time, I think it was like a $1,700 commission. And I was like, oh, you know what? Give me another call. I'll run another one of these calls. This is good. And the story is really about the process. It's not about me. It's not about my ailment. It's not about the Cleveland Clinic, right? It's that I knew no better than to do what I was taught. And it yielded, an amazing sale for higher than I was even supposed to sell it.
And you were uncomfortable. You have to be uncomfortable to grow. I talked about this a couple of weeks ago. If you are comfortable every day, then you are not growing. You have to be out of your comfort zone, somebody, because you're not always going to push yourself. You have to have somebody that is going to push you to grow. You have to, because if you don't, then there's no such thing as staying the same. I'm sorry. You're either moving forward or backwards. That's it.
Gil, you are speaking, honey is flowing from your lips because you couldn't be more right. I was very lucky. I was very lucky. Everett, very lucky. Our group that we came up with here in New Jersey, we had each other, right? And we pushed each other. But I would implore everyone who listens to this podcast, if you don't have someone who drives you, if you don't have a mentor, right, that can assist you along the way, first things first, that's what you need. That's what you need. You need to find someone who's going to drive you, someone that you can drive as well would be more beneficial, but someone who can drive you, a mentor, of some kind to kind of bring you along. It's one of the most powerful things, and it's something I'm very grateful for that I didn't know I had it at the time, but looking back on it, I thank God I did.
I agree. Everett, before you go, that brings into a little bumper I can play here real fast.
Don't be afraid to contact us with any questions. Remember, we're always here to help on HVAC Uncensored.
It sounds like that's you. It's a good message, but it sounds like you playing like a gay club bathroom or something.
It probably does, Gil.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Yeah, remember, I'm here to wipe the sweat off your brow. But yeah, guys, remember, if you guys know that I always say I don't know all the answers, but if I can help you in any way, email me, message me. I always make myself available. I talk to so many different people all the time, and I get back to them as much as I possibly can. And if I don't know the answer to the question or I can't do it, I'll find somebody who can. All right. I promise you that. So, what were you going to say, buddy? Everett? Sorry, I didn't mean to throw you off there.
I was good. I was just thinking about, so Chris was out there on the streets, right? And he's like pounding the pavement. Now, mind you, so we came up together, comfort advisors. Okay. So he's like really good, like top, like number one rep, right? But he just absolutely he was just vehemently opposed to being there anymore. It was crazy. He was just like, I cannot work here anymore. There was a specific person that ended up, it was not a great relationship. Anyway, I won't get into it. Long story short. And so Chris being like the number one guy, right? Like he's just like, peace. And we're all like, what? And here's what's crazy. I'll loop this story around real quick because he now manages the team, leads the team that he left, and they brought him back in and said, yo, what's up? And so this is more about like leadership, leading your team. So I would love for him to tell that story because I've heard it before, but like, it's just cool to listen to.
Well, it's funny, Everett, you go, I'm not going to get into it, but Chris, you get into it, please.
No, I am going to get into it. Hang on. First of all, I mean, cheers, guys. I mean, it's cool. We're having like a fireside chat over here. Pretty nice. No rules.
So I had made my way into a financial position that I had not experienced previously before working in HVAC sales, which is, something that I was striving for. I wanted for my family. I wanted that, that next level, and I had gotten there, which was great. Now, the manager that was in place, okay, just for me wasn't my cup of tea. That's all. Okay. I'm sure he's great, and I'm sure many people loved him, but was not my cup of tea. And in 2015 to 2017, this is important. I spent 2 years trying to make it work. It's just when a comfort advisor or a salesperson of any kind believes that their sales manager, okay, does not have their own best interest in mind, meaning the comfort advisor, okay, it's very difficult to go on. And like Everett said, I was very successful. And even though I was being successful, it was no longer about me and more about not wanting, okay, to help, okay, the person who was supposed to be leading me. Just to give you context, I quit on July 5th. $2 million in sales already. Maybe $180,000 have earned. Okay, like a good place. Okay, but I had just had it up to here. And I don't know of an HVAC sales rep that quits in the middle of the summer. I mean, that's not the right time to go.
No,
right?
it's rare.
But I had to. And this is the 2 years of opposition research that I did. I worked for a small company for a year.
It was 2 years of hard knocks, man. What are you talking about, dude?
Yeah, it was.
2 years of hard knocks, bro.
It was, but during that time, I decided that I was going to put a little bit of work in, right? It wasn't just going to be about HVAC sales. I went out and I became a certified member of the John Maxwell leadership training, right? Coach, mentor, trainer.
I'm doing that in August.
Oh, dude.
Nice.
Hey,
yeah, nice.
if you work
Good stuff,
man,
Gil.
if you work that, the people there are phenomenal. Okay. The coaching, the training. I mean, there are some, I'll just give you a nugget I learned while I was there throughout that whole process. Okay. And this is something that changed me personally. Okay. And it was that there's nothing that I can do to help you. The answer for what you need currently resides within you. Hopefully, I can find a way to bring that out in you. Okay, but there's nothing that I could say or do for you. The answer of your success truly lies within you. It is not the coach that does anything, but it is the person being coached, okay, that does all the work, has all of that resolve within them. It literally changed my life. It changed the way I communicated with people. And you know, working for this smaller company and kind of having some growing pains with them, a company that did not market well at all. Okay. So if it was hot, I made money. If it was cold, I made money. Any other time, I didn't make any money. Okay. I experienced all of that. And I know that that is a large space within HVAC companies out there, right? We kind of, you know, go up and down with the tides, if you will. All right. It doesn't have to be that way. Then I went for our number one competitor and I worked there for a year before my current company, ARS, reached out to me and said, hey, we want to talk to you again. You know, and I came back in the leadership role and I ended up replacing the person. That was the reason why I left. And
that was that's the kicker. The kicker is he ended up replacing the guy he couldn't stand working for. That's just,
you know, only God can pull things like that off. You can't try. You can't do it if you tried. You know, it really was, you know, a divine vindication, if you would. But more importantly, I stepped into the role, and I'll never forget my first sales meeting. I had a tie on for it. I wore a tie. And I sat up in front of the room and I had a PowerPoint presentation. Okay. I had all of the different initiatives, right, that I wanted, that was all to benefit the comfort advisor. But my pitch was very simple. I will be the sales manager that I never had. I will deliver the level of support to you as a comfort advisor that you didn't even know was available to you. It doesn't matter. As a matter of fact, I remember having the conversation with my wife about the position. And she says to me, she's like, okay, well, I guess that means your phone's going to ring a heck of a lot, isn't it? And I said, oh, yeah, my phone is going to ring, you know. She's like, as long as you can like not answer the phone during dinner time. Just just promise me that one thing. Just don't answer the phone during dinner time. And I looked at her and I said, okay, if that's the way that you feel, then I'm going to let them know that this position is not for us. And she's like, no, what do you mean? And I said, that's not on the table. I can't be sitting down to a nice warm meal when I have a comfort advisor inside of a home who has homeowners who are looking to sit down to their dinner and make them wait for me to finish my meal before I get back to them. That is a crucial time. I've been there too often. I've been there too many times where I needed my sales manager to be there for me at that moment. He had me in the house. He charged me with the job of selling that job. I was almost there, but I just needed something a little extra from him in order to put this job on the schedule. And I'm talking install available tomorrow. I'm talking the most crucial opportunity that you have as an agent, right? You have a crew, 2 installers who need work for tomorrow, and I can't get in touch with the one guy, okay, that can do this for me. I said, I'll never let that happen, honey. I'm going to be answering the phone. I'm going to be walking away from the dinner table. And she said, okay, fine, I get it. And the next day I accepted the role.
Yo, let me tell you on that same note, Gil, and I know you're going to talk here, but we're all as leaders, right? I know you're a leader, Gil, in your team. I see your Facebook posts. I see, you and Ryan rocking and rolling over there. By the way, congrats, Ryan, on you had a baby, right?
Yeah, baby boy, Leland J. Grimes.
That's right, Leland. Congrats. I will say this: if you're a leader in an organization, and I told this to my team, and I heard this somewhere, so I'm sort of pimping it. I told my team, you do not work for me. I work for you. Let that settle in.
You kind of went in and out on me there, Everett, but I think what you're describing. I told my team, you don't work for me. I work for you. It's the truth. That's how true leadership should look, right? And I described it there, servant leadership. And that's something, being from the John Maxwell School of Thought, I can tell you that is very big. John talks about that on a very regular basis. And people will respond to you if you're there for them, right? If I have a technician in a home right now, what time is it? It's 10 o'clock right now. Okay. And he calls me and says, hey, Chris, I have a customer with no heat. Is there any way that you can get a comfort advisor to this home right now? I can send an email and I will get a response. But it's not because I have comfort advisors who are waiting, bait and hook at 10 o'clock at night. Nobody wants to run that call, right? But they all want to run that call at the exact same time. And it's because of the level of support that's delivered to them, and for me, I'll do anything for someone who has done for me, and so if you can create that environment within your team, within your organization, you will get so much more out of every one of your people.
Yeah. And that's what I try to do. Like, I try to make sure that I am always there. Like this weekend, granted, I don't have as many people, as you, but I had a guy out on call who was getting slammed. He was calling me and asking me some questions. I was helping him. I got a bum knee right now. I took it upon myself to go, Ryan went out and helped him, do a call. I went out and ran a call because I want those guys to know that I would never ask them to do anything I don't do myself, and that I'm always there to help them. I don't care. Yeah, Saturday sucks. Sunday sucks. But you know what I mean? We're in this shit together. If I got to come out and help you, then so be it.
Before we went live, I kind of wrote a couple of things down. And I didn't know if our conversation would go that way or not go that way. But one of the things that I wrote down is I'm still in a truck. I'm still in the house. And I think what happens as people move up, and this is not just HVAC, this is not just the skilled trades. Okay. This is across all business platforms, is as you move up, you expect other people to do the work, right? Yeah, you may take on some other responsibilities, but everybody else is going to do that work. And I think that's, something that people really need to take a look at. And the reason is because the way that I do it is that I'm still on I'll get on the phone with a homeowner and close the deal right now. If my phone rang, as much as I respect your podcast, I'd answer it because I told every one of my guys that I would do it, that there was nothing more important than them inside the home. And that's the truth. And now that I said that, I hope it does happen because I'll put it on speakerphone and we'll close the darn deal together. Okay. But there's nothing today, okay, that makes me feel as if I've made it. As a matter of fact, I would say the opposite. Having been given the opportunity to move into sales management has just made me hungrier. That's it. I don't feel that I've made it in any way, shape, or form. It doesn't matter how many branches that they put underneath me. Okay. Every one of those people, of those comfort advisors, are going to get the level of support that I described on day one, right? That I am going to deliver them the sales manager that I never had. Not the one that they never had. And I say that with all due respect to my previous sales managers, and I've had some great ones, right? But just as a point of reference and a little shock factor, okay, I will be the sales manager that I never had. And, everybody can, grow to expect that of me. And I implore everyone to, offer that same opportunity to their team, be there, untethered and available, right? Don't respond with text, call back, right? Get on the phone with your people, be on the front lines with your team. If you can do that, you're going to get an amazing response. It's going to pay you back tenfold.
I agree. And then I also think that, celebrate their wins, and maybe it doesn't seem like a huge thing to some people, but that individual person, like maybe this one person, they're closing $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 sales, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 service tickets. But this one guy, he doesn't normally do that. So when he gets that $800, ticket, it's fuck yeah, man. Way to go, buddy. Like, that's fucking awesome. Like, and I like to have, it's called a fuck yeah thread where you put somebody in there and it's like, hey man, so-and-so just did this. They just helped, Mrs. Smith get a brand new IAQ package. Fuck yeah. And everybody just says, fuck yeah,
Love it.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Dude,
positive affirmation, but with purpose.
Yeah. So are you ever? Go ahead, buddy.
No, I'm good, man. Hey, Gil, you remember when we were at Service World Expo, right?
Yeah.
And we were talking about what we do. And I think a lot of times, like we get wrapped up in the metrics. We get wrapped up in we're always sitting there like, dude, no, I look at the numbers all day, every day. Don't get me wrong. And I get it. Like, everybody's out here. You got all these gurus who are like, yeah, this is how you do it. Okay, fine. But like, what I want to drive home, because this is actually, because I said that I was on another podcast and I said the same thing and I was fired up because I was really upset about this and I was just letting people know. We have to remember that we are like in a human business. No matter how much we try to automate everything that we do, right? And a lot of these guys out here, they're getting misled. They're going down these paths, which is like, dude, I am telling you, there is technology out there, like for instance, Sera that I work with, that will help people like they have no idea. Now, once you've done that, right? What do you do with that extra time? It has to be spent. That extra time has to be spent like boots on the ground, like literally taking that extra step. Like if your techs have an extra 10 minutes in the house because of something that you did in your business, that you now, they can actually do that. They can actually have the 10 extra minutes because you have a system or a process that helps that out. You better be spending that not in your truck. You better be spending that with a homeowner, with a customer, because the human element is going to win out 100% of the time. I promise you. And I know one thing I see a lot now is like, a lot of business moving online. Well, let me ask you, Gil, do you think that people are going to be clicking, the vast majority of sales for $10,000, $15,000 sales are going to be made online? Or do you think a human's still going to be involved in that?
A human's still going to be involved. And I agree with you 100%. But I will say that sadly, this other generation, these people are buying cars from their living room, bro. Carvana. They want to be in the comfort of their house, like, because they don't want to. Yeah, exactly. So
I welcome it.
Yeah, we just put on our website. Yeah, we just put on our website to buy systems. Yeah.
Hold on, you guys are both talking. Nobody can hear anything. Gil, what were you saying?
No, I said we just put on our website where people can buy systems from us online.
I saw that. And by the way, Chris and I actually think tanked an exact concept. What I love about that is that you can pick out your system and you still have to set up an appointment because, dude, someone's going to go out there and look at it. Someone's got to figure out, like, okay, is this system going to work? Bro, I actually love that you did that. I actually think it's going to create more opportunity for people who think like, okay, yeah, I'm going to buy something from the company. Okay, great. But you're still going to have somebody boots on the ground in the house.
That white glove concierge. We'll call it that, right?
Did you just say, did you just say concierge? Hey, everybody toast to Chris saying concierge.
Mine's empty. I gotta. Here, you guys talk. Give me 2 seconds. You keep going.
Okay. I don't know what we're gonna do here, Chris. Chris, you know what the best piece of advice, Chris, you know what the best piece of advice that I ever received from any HVAC rep, technician, anything ever in the history of what I did, right? It was the great Russell Anthony. I called him and I was in a funk and I was like, for a million on all my calls. And I was like, bro, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what's wrong. Maybe something's wrong with me. And he goes, just give them what they want. Just give them what they want. It was the best advice I've ever gotten, ever.
You know what's funny? That kind of reminds me of a time, and here's a little nugget for the CAs who are going to listen to this. Just a little nugget. We get so caught up in the house talking the talk, saying everything that we got to say, trying to tell everybody everything that they need to know. I was in a rut once, and I put a call out to Bill Gray, actually. And his advice to me was your advice. He goes, why don't you do what Everett does? I was like, what does Everett do? He goes, just go in there and say absolutely nothing. I was like, wait, what? He goes, I'm serious. Just go into your next appointment and don't say anything but hello, what can I do for you? And I did. I went into that house after having a string of just really difficult opportunities. And I said, hello, what can I do for you? And I said nothing. I literally said absolutely nothing until the end when I just pointed at the three options I put in front of them and say, which one is best? And they go, we'll go with option one. I couldn't believe it. It's crazy, but that's why you make those calls, right? We're kind of full circle here. That's why you have your network. That's why you make those calls, because they will deliver you out of that valley.
Yeah.
I was saying, Gil, full circle here, by the way. I got that advice, by the way, by the best. And anybody who's listening at this point in time in the podcast, okay, I will tell you the most impactful piece of anything that I ever listened to, that I ever read anything, was Charlie Greer's HVAC sales for slackers, a slacker's guide to HVAC sales. 16 discs. At the time, there was no, we didn't have the iTunes and all. It was discs. Dude, 16 discs. And in there, he talks about his steps of a call. And in that steps of a call, he talks about, dude, help me sell millions and millions and millions of dollars of business. And he talked about how to say less. And there's a section there on how to.
Did you just say billions? Did you just say billions and millions?
Millions. Millions. No, billions and millions. No, I said millions.
Okay.
And
all right, fair enough.
And so hold on. And so I took that from him full circle. Charlie Greer. Anybody know anything about Charlie Greer? If not, if you're in the HVAC business and you don't know who Charlie Greer is, he's one of the godfathers of HVAC sales. He's amazing. He's got mentors. I think actually Gene Slade is his godson or something like that, which is pretty crazy. And I think James Elul, right? He's somehow tied in with, I don't know, he knows Charlie for years and years. I would say anybody who has not listened to that, you need to listen to it. I think he probably sells it for $100. Incredibly impactful stuff, by the way. So that's where I got it from. And Christopher.
Well, just real fast. And a lot of the stuff, to be honest, out there being taught is Charlie Greer stuff with a twist.
Oh, can I touch on that? Because that's one of the things I wrote down. I personally, I'm just not a trailblazer. I'm not. There are trailblazers out there. Okay. I would argue that, Gil, maybe you're one of them. Okay. That's not me. It's not me. Okay. What I do is I take what other people have done and I apply it incredibly well. That's what I do. And so guys like Charlie Greer, okay, there's so many others. I'm forgetting the name of someone. Selling from Trust was the name of the program. Just changed my life.
Tom Piscitelli. Tom Piscitelli.
That was amazing. That came to me at a time. My son was in kindergarten, and you know how they do those career days? Well, I was an HVAC sales rep, so I didn't go. But I was a good enough father to ask my son.
I went all the time.
All right, good for you. Okay, great. You're better than me. So, I came home that day and asked my son, "Oh, how was career day?" And he tells me all about it. And then he looks at me and he says, "Dad, what do you actually do at work?" And in that moment, I had a crisis because I didn't know how to tell my kindergarten age child that I manipulate people into doing what I want them to do. Because that was the truth.
That's not really what. At
the time, that's what I was doing. I was using my communication to manipulate people into doing what I really wanted them to do. That's the truth. And there's a lot of reps out there that do that. Okay. And so I did what any good father would do in that moment. I lied. And I said, "Oh, I help people," and explained how the heat comes into our house and the air conditioning comes into our house, and how, I aided people in making sure that they're heating and they're cooling. And my son looked at me like I was a hero. But as I laid in bed that night, I thought, now how do I make that be true? And I found that was on disc. No, it was on cassette tape. And I think I may have even gotten it from you, Everett. It was Selling from Trust. And it basically debunked how we normally sell. We sell in a way where we eliminate information so that people will agree to what you offer. And that's the majority of what happens today in any sale, right? But what I did was I changed it. I said, I'm going to start offering so much information So much information that the customer is going to be so educated that whatever they decide, and even if it's I don't want to do business, I just got to that much quicker. So I wasn't spending time with prospects that weren't buying. I was moving on from them and getting in front of prospects that were buying significantly more often. And before you knew it, I was running less calls and making more money. And who doesn't want to do that? And it was coming from a position of selling from trust.
Sorry, I'm listening. I think Facebook just booted the video.
Is that what happens when you have a long-winded?
No, because this isn't even bad. It just it said, sorry, we're having trouble playing this video, and I don't know what happened to it. Because obviously it says something, it's offline, but it's not internet related, or you guys wouldn't still hear me. You know what I mean?
Dude, I'm watching myself on the live feed, so we're still on.
Oh, are we?
Yeah, I'm watching it right now. I'm lifting up my little decanter right here. Yeah.
Oh, well, good.
That's good. Dude, we've been going a while, man.
It's been a little bit, man. Maybe let me stop that, and then I'll start it off and get back on here. And one thing that I love that we've talked about different things, man, and this can be even a subject, because we won't go too long, to do for another time is, how did you guys, either one of you, did you start as the tech and work your way into sales, or is sales something that you just went into? Because I think some people would love to hear the journey.
I'm going to take this backwards because Chris and I both started sort of the opposite way around. Our buddy Russ actually got into this business and started with one of the forefathers of Nexstar. My buddy was literally selling cars, was managing a car dealership. And the guy from Nexstar, Dan Weltman, was like Weltman Home Services and Plumbing and Heating in New Jersey. Hey, man, you got a great personality. I love you. I want you to come work for me. He's like, dude, I manage a car dealership. What do you, I don't know anything about HVAC. I don't know anything about plumbing, nothing. And he's like, that's okay. And I'm going to send you to training. I'm going to do it all. And so he did that. And then he became really successful. And about a year, probably later, he was like, hey, and I asked him, I was like, hey man, he went to go work for the company that Chris works for now. And it was like, hey man, I was like, hey, you know what? I think I want to try it out. And so I had never done it, but I needed technical training because I had no technical training, and I needed, whatever sales training they had there. Right. So it was like a crash course. And I spent 3 months, in a classroom. And so did Chris, learning how shit works. And so we worked backwards. Now there are technicians on that same team who work their way from inside the industry. But what they found was that they didn't have to see, and this is something that I think a lot of business owners need to listen to. They didn't have to unlearn people. They didn't have to unlearn people who had bad habits, people who had presuppositions about, the way the industry works, or the way they're, whatever predispositions they had. It was easier for HVAC and plumbing home services companies to go ahead and hire from outside the industry and train somebody to learn the technical than it was to train somebody who is technical how to present a full system, solution or a sale, and teach them a sales process. And because there is a sales process. And so with that, it's kind of a hybrid. It's not just oh, this guy's a sales rep. No, dude, I have a master license in the state of New Jersey. If I showed you the amount of accreditations and certifications that I have in different technical avenues, I have pages of them, classes that I've sat through, that I've actually gotten certifications for, that I've done. I learned this industry backwards. I learned it from the sales side, but I wanted to know everything. I wanted to know the other way around.
Everett, you were successful before any accreditation. And that's the beauty of HVAC. is that you can be successful, at any level and work your way up. Right. One of the greatest things about this podcast, you talk about it all the time, Gil, okay, is the old timers, right, making it more appealing for the new generation, right? I mean, it's a common theme here, and it's important. And we see it on LinkedIn, and we see it in the Facebook groups, right? Skilled trades, and who wants to be, in debt because of their college education when you could be earning significantly, more than a lot of those degrees will get you, out of college. Entry level as a technician, this is a beautiful business. I mean, listen, of all the hard work you can do, right? HVAC is not the hardest. And I'm not taking away from, the extreme circumstances of the hard work that does occur, because it's there, it exists, right? But on the sales side, heck, inside my office, customer service reps, okay? I have a person who works for me who was a customer service rep, had, a slight supervisory role, if you will, 2 or 3 people under them. She handled kind of the recovery team, if you will. Any call that went unbooked, she was on it. Okay. And, I brought her into a leadership role in the sales team. Okay. And she's just about fit to be a sales manager. I'll tell you right now, 95% of the companies out there she could walk into right now and be far better than the sales manager that currently is there right now, right? But she started as a customer service representative, is my point. This is an entry-level position, right? Work your way. I mean, it's just so apparent how much opportunity that there is within our HVAC, trade. It's a beautiful thing. It's amazing.
I'm so glad you said that, because that's one of the reasons that I try to do this. And I try not to, I don't want to glorify it. I want people to know what it really is. If you're in the trade and you're in the field, yes, it can be hard. It can be ball busting. You're going to sweat your nuts off in the summertime. You're going to freeze them off in the winter, depending on where you're working. But you can make a good living doing this. And I want people to not, this is your career. It's not just a job. And I want people to realize that you can make a good fucking living in this industry. I know
you can feel good about it, Gil.
Exactly.
You can feel so good about it.
We control the comfort of the fucking country. Okay. Like, yes, you go to a doctor when you had like your heart condition. Well, guess what? That doctor's not going to go in that office if it's really hot or it's really cold. They're going to go to another one. So what we do is fucking important. And I want people to know that. I feel like some people and that's why I tie things into mental health and stuff like that, because I feel like some of these people don't realize how important they are. And they go through all week just to get through Friday to get that paycheck. And then they're fucking boozing it up all weekend or doing whatever they're doing, not realizing it.
Our field personnel, I mean, if you're a technician, okay, on the heavy side, what are you going to run? 75 calls a month, right? That's 75 lives touched. Legit. 75. Forget about that. Average household is what? 3.5? Right? That's not 75. You're hundreds of lives touched every single month, right? There is value in the field personnel of this trade, right? And they're doing great work out there. And I think for the most part, you're seeing a lot of that happen. And that's why you're seeing interest. And this is something that we didn't get into, and it's probably for another day, but why do you think private equity is looking at HVAC? Right? It's because of the impact that it has on everybody's lives. They don't look at things that are not important. Private equity is not interested in anything that has real importance. They're only interested in very important things.
Okay. Gil, fire, by the way. I love how you get fucking just so fired up. about like, cause I get the same way. It's like, dude, we are doing important things. It's the dichotomy. Like people lied to their kids about going to college and how great it is. Guess what? I know plumbers and HVAC and electrician guys that are, you know what, they're a heck of a lot happier. And they're making more money. So, and you've got, you know, $150,000 worth of college student debt. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, not sorry.
So,
yeah, I tell all these young kids.
Gil, let me ask you this. Gil, let me ask you, Gil, your son, he's like almost college age, right?
Yeah.
So what I know, but I know he's like an elite athlete. So what's that? Tell me about that. What's that about? Like, how do you navigate that? Because you love the trades, right? But yet, you know, you've got kids. How do you navigate that?
So he always asks me, he'll say, like, Dad, so, you know, are you going to be mad at me if I don't do HVAC? And I tell him flat out, I'm like, son, I want you to do whatever it is that you want to do. But yes, you'll always have this to fall back on. But I tell him and his friends, and I've done some speaking engagements to like local schools and different things. And I tell these kids, if you do good in school, if you can learn in a classroom setting, then by all means, go to college. If you can't, you're not all of a sudden going to pick it up when you go to college. Don't go do that in a classroom setting. Learn something else. There's other avenues. We have brainwashed kids so long that college is the only way. College is the only way. I want my kids to be happy and successful in whatever they choose to do. If he decides that he wants to be a plumber or he wants to do this, then yeah, great. If he doesn't, I don't care. I just want him to be good. I want him to be good and bust his ass at whatever he does. And something that he can provide his family with, because kids go to school for all these. If you're not going for a hard skill, it's a waste of fucking money. All these kids have these stupid fucking degrees in pool management, or, you know, I got a business management degree. Okay. In what fucking business? You know, like, how are you going to tie that in to actually do something? So,
you know, I love my wife. I love her. She went to school for psychology. She's a project manager for an IT firm. You know, I have nothing, and I'm sure that it helps her, and I'm sure it was a great experience, you know, and she's educated, and it's a beautiful thing. You know, I mean, she's got great memories and everything else, but she could have been a project manager for an IT firm without having went to college.
True. One of my wife's best friends, she worked at a, what was it? Like a Hallmark store or something like that around here. Went to college, got a 4-year degree, came back and worked at Hallmark. And I was like, well, they at least give you a fucking raise for getting a 4-year degree and then coming back. Did you get bumped from like 10 to 12? I mean, you know, and she eventually found a good job in what she was doing, but it took forever. She had all that debt. So I'm not saying that. I don't ever tell kids don't go to college, but don't be brainwashed to think that that's the only way. Because I got guys, technicians that are in their 20s, and these guys are making $150,000, $200,000 a year, making more money than their parents. And they come to me and say, Gil, what do I do with this? And then that's how I start trying to help them invest money or do something with it, you know, so they can try to create some kind of wealth. You know what I mean? So it's not gone just as fast as they made it.
You know, it's a beautiful thing. The trades are a beautiful thing. HVAC, you know, I find myself very lucky to have found. And, you know, I with you and others will scream it from the rooftop of it's an amazing opportunity. And, you know, I think that, you know, you see it within certain groups, certain spheres. You know, you go on LinkedIn, you go on Facebook, right? You see it in certain spheres, but where you don't see it is in the general conversation is not actually talking about trades. And that's where it needs to be discussed, right? It needs to be discussed. There needs to be, you know, local HVAC companies showing up to college fairs. Right. I remember at the high school level, I could go, you know, as a senior or as a junior, and I could go talk to every college that is around my local town. And there were a lot of them. But I don't ever remember. Well, I could talk to the Army too. I could talk to the Army, the Air Force, or I could talk to these other colleges. And that's another great avenue. You can learn HVAC in the Army. But, what you don't see a lot of is you don't see a lot of trade companies showing up to things like that. And it's something that should be looked at and it should be expanded on because it's viable, it's fruitful, and it's needed. I mean, there is such a need. Tell me, people who are listening, if you don't need technicians today, right, you're doing something wrong. If you don't need an installation crew right now, a second or a lead, you're doing something wrong.
Yeah. Number one thing that business owners are always talking about in the HVAC business, especially, is that they can't find good help. They can't find guys to work. I would encourage them, by the way, to find guys from outside the industry, self-train, train, invest. Ken Goodrich talked about how if he could start it all over again, he would have started with a training institute inside of his business. So that, because he has it now, right? But that's what he said. He said he would have started. I remember reading this thing from him, and he was like, I would have started it with a training course because you can start to now harvest the people that you can have in there. Gil, here, I'll get a little personal here. Our company got bought by a big company. The company that owns Shark Bite, okay, bought my company. Okay, pretty cool. You like shark bites. I know a lot of plumbers, I'm never going to use a shark bite. Fine. Okay. We make all sorts of other stuff. PEX, piping, fittings, all sorts of stuff. Well, you know what? I started literally 13 years ago, alongside Chris over here, a little earlier, but anyway, in the trades. And I learned, we belong to a bunch of business organizations throughout the years. Nexstar and SGI and all these different things. And you know what? I soaked it in. And there's so much training out there that's available for service technicians, for HVAC. And I literally, I'm not kidding you. I sat in a boardroom with an executive team with guys that are probably worth, I don't know, millions and millions of dollars, surrounded by these guys. Okay. Here I am, me. Okay. A sales rep who just applied himself, right, and just wanted to learn everything I possibly could about, whatever it is. And so I get hired on it. Now I run a $30 million sales team, and I'm sitting in a boardroom with guys that are literally running an $800 million organization specifically because I started in the trades. Fact.
Yeah. And when you were talking about when you had the whole college thing and whatever like that, and finally being able to meet Ken Goodrich was awesome. He is such a cool dude. Like, I was not expecting him to be so down to earth when I met him. Yeah, when I met him, when we were at Service World, and, I said, hey, can I take a picture? Well, no, I was going to ask to take a picture, and he asked me, like, you want to take a picture? I'm like, yeah, who the fuck doesn't want to take a picture with Ken Goodrich? Like, yeah, of course. And then when I'm sitting there wearing, like, my podcast sweatshirt, and he points to like, my sweatshirt, I'm like, what the fuck, dude? This is crazy. Like, he was so down to earth, like, sitting there talking to us, like, like, you expect a name like that when you talk to him for them to be like, don't have time for you. But yeah, that was awesome. He's actually, I reached out and talked to him. He's actually going to come on the podcast, but can't wait for that. But what I was going to say is, I think what also has hurt our trades is, as far as getting people, at least in HVAC, has been trade school. Because these schools have been fucking ripping kids off, get them in, get them out,
nothing.
Get them in, get them out, take their money, charge them $20,000. Oh, but here's some shiny new tools. First of all, they're not free. You paid for them. They get out.
Yeah, you did.
Yep. They get out. They tell them they're technicians when these guys are glorified filter changers. And their mind is already fucked from Jump Street because they were lied to.
You know what we do? We make them duct cleaners. I mean, they clean ducts, you know what I mean? And the good ones do earn their way into becoming a maintenance technician, and the ones that don't, end up going somewhere else. But you couldn't be more spot on.
But Chris, that's a product. Chris, that's a product. Gil, that's a product of the fact that these trade schools are really fucking these guys up. I literally interviewed guys from trade school, and I would work with the counselor there at the trade school to bring them in to train, to interview them. And I literally would ask them just the simplest questions. They were fucking clueless. They were clueless. They had no idea what they were
and it's not their fault.
No, yes, that's the problem. The problem is that they were delivered a bill of goods, right?
Yeah.
Right? They bought now I'm a technician. Now I know. I went to school and I know, and you see it all over the groups. You know what I mean? There's countless groups that we're all a part of. You see it all over there. What they need to do is join a company, get mentored, become an apprentice of some kind, a helper of some kind, and just learn on the job. That really is the best way. And I'm not even mad at someone that goes to trade school. You know what I mean? I ain't mad at it. Like, that's good, because the amount of money that you spend in trade school is so much less than you're going to spend at college. And you really are. I mean, you're going to come out with some good information. Just the expectation they have of their skill level upon exit, it's astounding. You still got to go ahead, come in as an entry level technician and work your way up from there. And you can do it without trade school.
So my boy over here, Texas Medley, by the way, Texas is like an amazing business owner here in the Metroplex. He just commented in the Facebook group. Yo, Texas is the man, by the way. Okay, so quick story. So Texas came in to rescue air when I was managing over there, and literally just came in to say, hey, we see you guys. We see your trucks. We love the branding. We love what we see in the field. We just want to know what's going on here. We want to know how things are going. It was the most amazing thing. And Texas came in with his, I guess he had a service manager partner. And it was like, dude, he wanted to know everything. And if you look at it now, he's the fastest growing company in the Metroplex right now because he asked questions, because he wanted to know how to do that. And dude, I'm like super. So he says right here, I mean, dude, he's like real passionate in the group here, man. He's like, maybe he would have started with a training institute if he had money. A lot easier to say that when money is there. Go start a training institute when you have no clue how you're going to eat that evening. I love it.
No, yeah, I know Texas. I've been friends with him for a while. Why the F are we depending? No. And I agree. And he's right. So we shouldn't be, depending on schools for our pipeline. And I do agree that we should be hiring outside the trades, because you can always teach someone this industry. You can't train somebody to not be a shitbag. You're looking for that. The reason, just so you know, Texas, so we brought up the thing for school is, I think what is bad is a lot of people that try to get into this trade that think they're doing the right thing are getting screwed. That's my point. Because they're being promised certain things. Yeah, they're being promised certain things, and they think they're going to go to this class for 2 years, get out and be a technician, and they don't know any better. That's why I want things like this, these podcasts, these YouTube channels, these different things, just to be a form of education for them to hear. Like you don't have to do that. Go start with a company, find a company like yours, find a company like Texas is doing, that he's going to bring good people in and train them. That's what we do. I would take a good kid who doesn't know dick, but has a good attitude and is a good person, shows up on time, and I would teach him whatever he needs to know to make him work in the industry. You know what I mean?
Let's be honest. What's more impressionable than a 17 to a 25-year-old person, right? They're going to these schools because the expectation is afterwards that they're going to have acquired whatever it is that they've acquired. But, I don't want to speak about it so negatively, because we can't say on one hand, the skilled trades, get into the skilled trades, and then say, oh, no, you did it the wrong way. Right? However you get to here, however you get to my organization, I don't care. Right? We're going to go ahead and bring you into the fold. If you make it through our interview process, okay, and I don't care if you are, a technician with no experience at all, we'll find a spot for you. We will. You're going to work. You're going to prove yourself. You're going to prove your knowledge. You're going to make it to the next level, whatever that level might be. And you might come in with, 15 years experience and say, hey, come in. Here's what you get at 15 years. Here's what your pedigree brings you. Okay. And then you'll make it to the next level, no matter who it is that you are, and so I don't want to poo-poo it too much, because I think however you get here, and I think we're all on the same page, we need more of it. Right. I mean, I need personnel. I need people to drive parts. I need delivery for my install. I need CSRs. I need dispatchers. I need technicians of all varieties, entry level and senior technicians. I need master communicators, you know what I mean? And I would love, a whole bunch of managers who actually are very good at managing and leading other people. I mean, I'll take it all. Just please, anything that you can bring this industry, bring it all. I want all of you.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. I'm sorry. I was listening to Texas talk shit to me. I saw somebody say
Texas is passionate, bro.
Well, he is, and that's why I love the dude, man. Well, Ryan Northup said HVAC Uncensored Tech School. That's fine if somebody wants to run it. And no, he is really, really right. But the one part, he says, what industry, why the F are we depending on schools to fill our pipeline? What industry blames schools? Doctors, lawyers, or any of those guys blaming schools for their poor pool? No, because the allure of that job sells itself. Right. So they don't need to
have a pool.
Yeah. And also the schools that those people go to are accredited. The curriculums have to meet the bar. They have to meet something to get the term doctorate. We don't have that. Some states don't even have licensing, for Christ's sakes. You know what I mean? I
have a buddy. Okay. He went to law school. The best job that he could find was $60,000 a year afterwards. $60,000 a year was the best job that he could find. I mean, I'm talking New Jersey. Not to say that if you graduate at, an elite level that you won't be able to make more, but this person wasn't elite. This person was just average. After law school, graduated, did well, just not super well. $60,000 was the best job that he could find as a lawyer. Okay. That's not the case with what we're doing. It's not about the schools.
I will say this. Texas, man, Texas is going off in this group right here. He's saying, why is this not an alluring field? Why are we glorifying these other fields? Let me tell you something. I now talk to, follow, and friends with some female technicians who are fantastic technicians. Cora Whale, one of them. There's one here in the Metroplex. Her name is Heidi. It's changing, and change would have been a lot slower, but it's going faster because of podcasts like this, because of the way that we can spread information faster. It's happening. It's just going to, this so-called progress it will happen. It's just a matter of time. And the faster that, and here's the deal too. Once we blow the lid off this thing and everybody realizes holy moly, I'm going to be so much happier as a plumber than, as an administrative assistant, we're going to be A-okay, which is not to say that there's no room for college or for, aspirations of certain fields. I'm just saying, if you're going to go to school, specialize in something, our field, what we do is very important. We literally keep this entire thing going. I mean, if you think about conditioning spaces in general, and I'll go into plumbing too. I know this is HVAC Uncensored, but we go into home services and plumbing as well. It's so important to what we do and how we do it as a society. We'll get there. But I actually do want to say I am really, really happy for the push of female technicians, because I think that I have 4 daughters, dude. I have 4 daughters, and I will tell you that I'm what you have 2, right?
I have 2 boys, 2 girls. Yeah.
2 boys, 2 girls. I have 4 girls, 1 boy. Listen, if any of them said they wanted to go into the trades, I don't care, boy, girl. I'm like, hey, there's room for you to do that, because it's a craft, it's a trade, it's a field.
Let me tell you this. I've interviewed 4 women to be comfort advisors. Okay. And each time I got excited. I'm like, all right, let's see what we got. And the first time wasn't a good fit. Yeah, it wasn't going to happen. This person did not have the sales acumen to be successful as a comfort advisor. Moved on. Same thing kind of happened with the second, the third one. There were some issues. It didn't work out. 4th one, man, I hired her, and she's still working for me. And I told her, get online. Look at Coral. Look at all of these people. Make a name for yourself, because there's a very small amount of people, okay, who are successful in the HVAC industry that are women, and it's just prime and available to her. And, she's been looking around online and things of that nature. She's not necessarily someone who wants to be out there, but here's something that is incredibly true. She's successful. She's very good at her job. She takes it seriously. That's first and foremost. But any industry I've ever been in, the top sales rep was not a man. There's not one industry that I've been in where the top sales rep wasn't a man. And I haven't gotten to the point yet where I have a woman who leads the board, but it's going to happen, because the truth of the matter is that women communicate on a level that is just different than we do. They do.
Well, plus, and I mean, think about it. So touch on 2 points. One, while we're talking about that, when it comes to women, like any of the women that have came into the industry, whether it's been on the technical side or anything, most of them do awesome because they're already coming in a hard way. They're coming into a man's game. They got to prove themselves. Yeah. They know they have to prove themselves. Yeah. And they're doing their shit. So that's why those women, I have nothing but respect for them, because they are, they're the founders of what they're doing. They're setting it. They're the, well, I want to be careful. I say that because I don't want to offend somebody. I was going to say like the Rosa Parks, of women doing that, and what they're doing, like those kind of people, like they're doing that kind of stuff. They are setting the bar for future women. And I love that. And for the record, what I was saying before, Texas, I agree with you 100% as far as what you were saying, that I think that we have done a horrible job as far as letting people know how important this job is and how good it can be, how much money you can make, the people that can drive fancy cars. So that's why seeing some of these different people and seeing the lifestyles that they live does a lot, because all people knew is You were going to sweat your balls off in the summer. You were going to freeze in the winter or whatever. You're going to be in hot attics. Oh, I don't want to do that. So I agree. We have done a horrible job. We need to let kids know. And that's why I want to do this show and other shows to let the younger generation know that, yeah, maybe you got to sweat a little bit, but that you can really, really live a good life. My dad did this. We never hurt for anything. You know, we were a middle class, above middle class family. My kids don't want for anything. I do pretty fucking good for myself. As I'm sure you do, and Everett does, and a lot of other people do very well for themselves because of this industry.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a blessing. It's something that I don't take for granted. I mean, as a sales rep, you know, there's a lot of things. There's successful people who sell software. There's successful people who sell automobiles, right? There's successful people who sell everything. You know, at the end of the day, you know, this HVAC, our field, has been one that is an avenue where you're not only selling, but you're really helping people. I mean, there is nothing more important than the heart and lungs of your home. I mean, one of the things that I used to say to my customers on a regular basis is, listen, I want your relationship with your heating and cooling to be simple. I want you to walk to your thermostat, choose a temperature, walk away, and never think about it again. And that's what I'm here to have happen for you. You know, I'm going to make that possible for you not to have to think about any of it, you know, and you know, now, and this is a topic that we didn't talk about today with COVID and everything else, you know, and you know, we have COVID-19, but we all are just waiting for COVID-20. Right? COVID-20 is on its way, if you will. You know, the indoor air quality, you know, if that's not something that you're pursuing on a maintenance level, on a precision tune-up level, on a demand level, you know, inside your comfort advisors obviously are doing it. I mean, I would hope that would be, you know, an obvious thing. But if you're not pursuing that, you know, we're affecting lives in such a positive way. Everyday comfort, everyday health, everyday safety. You know, all thanks to your local HVAC technician.
Amen. Damn, I feel like we can keep going because there's so many topics that I want to talk about. But I know it's already fucking getting to be 11 o'clock. And I totally forgot by doing this tonight. We were like competing with like Monday night playoff football. Sorry, Cardinals fans. It's not looking too good. So normally I do this on Wednesdays, and I'll probably do another show on Wednesday trying to play catch up because AHR coming up, and then some people don't value other people's time and they don't fucking show up. But that's another story.
A different podcast.
Yeah. Well, if they show up, we do one. But it's I thank first, I thank everybody for listening, man. I want to thank you guys for coming on, especially with short notice and talking. And we can definitely do this again, hop back on, whether it can be, you know, both of you one-on-one to, you know, talk and be able to BS and talk about different topics. Cause I think this is really good. We really hit some different notes or whatever, and got different, you know, our different opinions out, but I know we could keep talking for another couple hours about different things. If we could keep going.
For sure. Gil, I mean, just a pleasure to have me on. Thank you for the opportunity, you know, and if there's anything I could ever do for you, you know, just like you do for others, I would love to do for you.
I appreciate that, man. I have your number. I'll definitely, I will keep in touch, man. I'll reach out and save the number so that we can definitely talk. So thank you for coming on, Everett. Thank you for finally getting on. I know we've been talking for a while. I know we'll talk. Plus, we're going to have a blast in fucking Vegas here in like 2 weeks. So I can't wait. So thank you guys for coming on. If you guys want to sit tight for a second, or Everett, if there's anything you want to say before I do that, I'm sorry.
Did someone mute him?
Yeah.
You look good.
Yeah, I can't hear. Are you muted?
Son of a bitch. You know what? I'm sorry, man. I was going to say, we're going to have a blast in Vegas, bro. And let's soak it all in and let's take in whatever we can, man. And let's circle back, dude.
Yes, for sure. We'll definitely do this, man. I got a lot of these live shows. So just so everybody knows, the shows like this are going to be every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Some of these different things, we're just testing different things, but it is Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I may have a guest. It may be just me fucking screaming for an hour. You don't know. We'll see. Just like that old comedian where he's just like, it's fucking blah, just doing dumb shit. I don't know. We'll see. But I also, to you guys that are listening, I love interviewing people that are, very good in their field, like these two gentlemen and different people. But I also want to interview you guys, the blue collar guys out there, that if you're the technician in the field that you haven't made it yet, or you're trying to find a path, I want to talk to you too. I want to hear your stories and how you got into the trade. What is your plan? Remember, I always said, have an exit strategy. What is your end game? What do you want in this trade? What do you want it to be? Don't just come to work every day willy-nilly hoping for the best. That's not how shit works, okay? You got to set a goal and you work towards that goal. Otherwise, you might have an opportunity smack you with its fucking dick in the face and you're not even going to know. So, and that's the sad part. Some people that if they don't open their eyes, they get all kind of opportunities and they miss it. So I don't want that to happen. I've seen it happen to people. All right, gentlemen, I'm going to... Guys, I appreciate everybody. I'm going to close this out, man. You guys know I love you guys, man. I appreciate each and every one of you for showing this podcast so much love, for the downloads, the support. I do want to tell you that I will share it. I have created another Facebook group. It is called Blue Collar HVAC, and you will see at the bottom it says brought to you by HVAC Uncensored Podcast. But I'm going to let you know right now, before the floodgates open, you guys start to go try to get into that group. That group is for serious people that want to learn. I don't care about the numbers getting big. I don't care about how many people join that. I want it to be a place where people can ask questions and get real fucking answers. So the first time that I hear somebody get shit on or somebody has a dick measuring contest, I will kick you out. You do that in this group to a certain extent. So Blue Collar HVAC, I will share the group into here tomorrow. That is also, it's brought to you by the HVAC Uncensored Podcast, but I want it to be a place where people can really, really ask questions and learn and stuff like that. So Blue Collar HVAC, you guys can go get into that. And if you got any questions, let me know. Other than that, man, it's the same shit, guys, every week. Thank you. I appreciate you. Remember, always stay safe out there. Always make it home the same way you left. We all got somebody to make it home to. Do the little things, man. Do what the next guy's not doing. Set yourself apart. All these guests and different people that I'm bringing on, they've done the little things to set themselves apart. They wanted it. They wanted it better than somebody else. So they went home, instead of sitting on their ass watching TV or watching football, they put in the work. They listened to the CDs. They read the magazines. They read the books. They took the classes that the next guy wasn't doing. Guys, nothing in this world's for free, and this is no different. Bust your fucking ass, set a goal, and go fucking get it, man. All right? Until next week, man, I love you, motherfuckers. I appreciate each and every one of you, and remember, I'm always here to help. All right? See ya.
Thanks for listening to the HVAC Uncensored Podcast and being the best part of HVAC Uncensored Nation. Remember to follow us on social media sites to stay up to date on the latest content and giveaways. Now, get back to work and shut this down. The views and opinions shared on the HVAC Uncensored Podcast may not be the same as the sponsors or guests.